You're listening to New Mexico Film Works with your host, Dirk Norris.
New Mexico Film Works is a program of the New Mexico State Film Office brought to you through the generosity of Hutton Broadcasting. You can hear this show streaming on santafe.com on the KVSF 101.5 page Thursdays at 11. That's right now. And also on Talk 1260 KTRC Radio on Saturday at 11. And I don't know if I can adequately express the joy I feel that warm weather is here. I hope you feel the same, because I'll take 120-degree weather over freezing my butt off any day. So I'm just so full of joy. A little later in the show, I'm going to have actor Jackamoe Buzzell. He'll be in the studio talking about acting in New Mexico. Jackamoe's been in Breaking Bad and in Plain Sight, among others.
You're listening to New Mexico Film Works. Now, back to New Mexico Film Works.
This is New Mexico Film Works. I'm your host, Dirk Norris, and you can hear this show streaming at 11 a.m. on Thursdays on santafe.com by clicking on the KVSF link. You can also hear this and previous shows on podcast by going to santafe.com, clicking on the podcast link, and looking for New Mexico Film Works on Talk 1260 KTRC Radio. So right off the bat, I have to apologize to all those Breaking Bad fans out there. My guest Jackamoe was not on Breaking Bad. As much as he desperately wanted to be on Breaking Bad, he was not, in fact, on Breaking Bad. So my guest is Jackamoe Buzzell.
Yes, that's correct. Thank
Welcome.
You. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So you're an actor here in New Mexico.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of your background.
26 years performing professionally, just moving to market. I was in a band in New England, Jersey, Florida, and then I worked in modeling and acting in Dallas, in New England as well, and then worked in Vegas, Los Angeles, and then I found my way here about a little over, almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you like New Mexico?
Yeah, I like it. I came here for the incentives and the weather, and that's a major deal now. Is everything's Hollywood's spread out all over the country now.
Right.
So where do you go? You know, New England was great, did that market for a little while, but the winter kind of shuts down, and they don't have the studios. So I love I hate humidity. I love the dry weather. And they get the studios here, and they work it just like LA works it, with an agent and a casting director. Very professional here. I really enjoy it.
And who you represented by?
A&M Talent House, Jody Black,
right.
and she took over, and she's awesome. She is just the best agent I've ever had.
Terrific.
Good friends, too, and I love her very much. She's awesome. She works so hard for not just me, but for all of her talent.
Right.
Very, very excellent agency.
There's such a high level of professionalism here in New Mexico, and it seems to be such a small community that everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
Do you come across folks that you say, "Hey, how come I haven't met you before?" Or are you pretty involved in the whole?
Actually, I'm not as involved as I'd like to be because when I first arrived here, 3 weeks after I arrived, I got this great gig at Vernon Valley Steakhouse, which is a speakeasy, 1920s speakeasy. And I play a gangster. I'm talking like this, how you doing? You know, it's crazy. So I'm in there. I haven't taken a vacation, and I haven't taken a sick day. It's an acting gig, longest acting gig I've ever had. But I'm entertaining people every single night. But because it is 6 nights a week, sometimes 7, I'm not able to go out and network or anything.
Right.
So I really haven't met anybody, but a lot of people know who I am because of that, or because of commercials or TV or whatnot. So I really don't know many people. I wish I knew more.
However, it seems to be quite a hot spot for celebrities.
Yes, yeah, and it's great. Not from the celebrity point of view. I mean, that's great for Vernon's itself.
Right.
But for me, just hanging out, not being from here and living in LA for a while and other markets, just hanging out with Johnny Depp and Bryan Cranston and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bill Fichtner, and just getting this great advice from hanging out with these great people and being inspired, and especially the advice is phenomenal.
Right. Are these folks that you had known previously?
Bryan Cranston, yes. And it was kind of a funny story. Back in 2004, I auditioned for him. He was directing an episode of Malcolm in the Middle in Las Vegas. And I went in, and as you know, that's a comedy, and I had to chew gum for the audition. It was about blowing the biggest bubble you could blow. So, we didn't know that. We didn't get to side stuff. We get to the audition. So we're like, and then they're handing out gum to us, right? But they didn't have the right gum. They didn't have the bubble gum. They had like a Trident, which is not
It's
a
not
proper,
a bubble kind of
yeah, exactly.
gum.
I'm like, what's going on with this? So then I'm like trying to, get as much gum as I can. So I'm waiting right outside the door, and Brian and the writer's in there with him, or the producer or whatever. And so the guy coming out, as I'm coming in, I asked if I could have his gum to add to my gum already in my mouth. So I did that. He looks at me funny, he's like, and hands it to me. I take it, throw it right in my mouth. So right off the bat, Brian and the producer start just laughing so hard.
Right.
So then they're like, go, and then I guess my facial expressions and the way I was doing the scene and everything. Brian literally fell off his chair laughing so hard. So that was a great. And then he's like Jackamoe, and we talked a little bit about my name, and he's like, he goes, man, I want you so bad in this show, but you're too old for this part and you're too young for this part. And I'm like, go figure. He's going, if I have time, which I probably won't, I'm going to write you in something tonight, but I probably won't have time, but just know I want to. So that was awesome. So then he came, and then what was weird, I was in the makeup chair for some commercial on the Strip, on the Las Vegas Strip. And, it's like 4 a.m. or whatever, 5 a.m. Makeup is, oh, you're a celebrity now. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, Bryan Cranston was on Late Night Talk Show talking about you. I'm like, what? And they were just talking about it was Kimmel or somebody, I forget who it was, but talking about, he's talking about directing, he's promoting Malcolm in the Middle, and talking about the audition process. And this guy Jackamoe came in, and I think if it was Kimmel, he's like, Jacka who? Jacka what? So that was hilarious. So then he came into Vernon's on Easter, 2011. And it was so cool. He came in, but I'm in. I got the whole zoot suit on and everything, with the gangster hat, and I'm talking like this, how you doing? So they knock at the door. It's him and his wife and his kids. So I do the whole thing. You got the password. You're wearing a wire, that kind of, and they come in, and I got these rules I go through. So I go through all the rules, and at the end, I take my hat off, and I'm like, I was trying to get some bubble gum, but you were such late notice coming in. And then he looks and he goes, oh my God. And then the wife, she remembered too, and they're like, wow. So then we talked after and stuff, and
But you still didn't get on Breaking Bad.
No. I auditioned so much. I auditioned several. Dozens of times, literally, in 2011, 2012, 2013. Right. I was offered a stunt part by the stunt coordinator, Al Godo, which is totally awesome, last year. And it was a stunt acting part. But, he's good friends with Kiera Rai, the casting director, which she's so awesome. She's so great. And I was like, you know what? I want to do it really bad, but we got many more episodes to cast here. Why don't you ask Kiera? So he went to Kiera, and Kiera's advice to me was, no, we're going to get you a part, stick to the auditioning, la-di-da-di-da. So I passed on that. No regrets. Very thankful I was offered it in the first place. But, yeah, audition, call back, nothing.
But that's the life of an actor, right?
Yes, but that's your job, is to audition, period. That is your job, and you don't get paid for it. When you get the part, it kind of makes up for all that, and it's just icing on the cake to make your career cool.
Yeah.
But your auditioning is your job.
And you mentioned that you are constantly taking classes.
Yes.
And the education part of it just never ends.
It never ends.
What is that like? What is it you are trying? What is it you're learning? What is it you're
just little things, fine tuning. You know what I mean? Really fine-tuning. And, there's people that doctors go to school for 8-10 years, lawyers too, or there's 4-year degrees, 2-year degrees. Acting, there is no degree. You just got to keep going and going and going because you never stop learning. And even Anthony Hopkins said that. And he still thinks he's okay. I disagree. But I think that's the great thing is you keep learning and learning and learning. And my thing now is workshops. casting director workshops. And Joe Edna Bolden does a phenomenal workshop that I've done several times. So does Catherine Brank, another casting director here. And, you get it. And some people disagree. They think, you got to pay to get in front of a casting director. That is so untrue, and that is so false. I can't stress that enough. Right. Here's your opportunity to get in front of them. And like with Catherine Brank, it's a full day. With Joe Edna Bolden, it's 2 days. You get to audition for them. It's a long audition. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
they get to know you. They get to think of what parts you can play, how good you are, how well you take direction. It's the best thing ever, casting director workshops.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that.
And when we come back, maybe we can go through a little bit of what goes on in some of these workshops.
Okay.
But I imagine it's really important to be in front of these people, like you said, so that you're like on the top of their mind when they're thinking of something.
Exactly.
Bingo, Jackamoe's the guy.
There's nothing more important, to be honest with you.
Right. Quickly, probably not a good thing to ask, but what do you get out of acting?
What do I get out of it?
Yeah.
Attention.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to be honest.
So maybe a radio show isn't the best thing.
No, I love radio too. I love anything. I love the whole the acceptance. And we got a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. The acceptance. Basically, in school, elementary, I moved around a lot in Maine.
Right.
And parents split, that whole deal. But I was bullied. I was picked on. I learned how to run like Forrest Gump.
Right.
And when I saw that movie, I laughed because I was like, "Run, Jackamoe, run!" So it was just the burning desire to be accepted. And I think it has to do with a deep-rooted deal with my dad saying "see" at 8 years old. I want that acceptance, but I've turned that into a positive thing.
Right. We got to go. We're going to take a break. This is New Mexico Filmworks on KBSF 101.5, the voice of Santa Fe. We'll be right back with Jackamoe.
Now, back to New Mexico Filmworks.
This is New Mexico Filmworks on KBSF 101.5, the voice of Santa Fe. I'm your host, Dirk Norris, and I just want to give a shout-out to Juan and Dolores. And my guest is Jackamoe Buzzell. And during the break, we
talked about the most interesting things. Too bad you weren't there.
Let's talk. I wanted to get a brief description of what some of the workshops that you've attended are like, and what are the things you go through, and what are the exercises you kind of experience.
Yeah, Joe Edna Bolden's workshop, and then also Catherine Brink's workshop. And there's also acting classes in town, which are great. But I like to stick to the workshops because those are the gatekeepers to heaven, I like to call them. Basically, they'll send you slides ahead of time, and it's basically an audition. Several auditions, except an audition where you get to discuss instead of on the car ride home going, I should have done this. Right. Or, there's that joke about, I did my Oscar-winning performance on the ride home. Yeah. You go in there and you get to do it and you get the feedback. Now, as you get to know the casting directors better, they'll give you more and more feedback in the audition. They'll spend more time with you because they know you and they see your desire. And a lot of them, they're inspired about how passionate you are. The casting directors love actors that are really into it and love it and want to be there, and they're off book and, no excuses. They're always early. I'm always an hour early. I'm off book. I'm ready to go. But in the workshop, you get to just learn the behind the scenes of it, and then you also get to see the other actors auditioning, and you get to hear their feedback. And then you get to ask questions because you may learn something from that audition and what the casting director said.
Like, why did you do that?
Exactly.
What were the choices that you made? And
exactly,
why?
And why? And you just go over it, and it's just repetition of that over and over.
And I'm sure building up a reputation for being responsible and on time and all of that stuff is really important as well.
Oh, it's so important. This is a business.
Yeah.
This is show business. That's they say it's 90% business, 10% talent, and I kind of tend to believe that. You get that 10% is very important.
Sure.
But it's business. You can't be late.
So are you a good businessman?
Yes, I'm actually a better businessman than talent person. I've had to really work at it, really work hard at it. And I've always just been a person to go. Search. Where it's going on? Where's it going on? How do I get in there? What do I got to do? And then you always show up on. I'm always way early. I was way early here today. Everything is important in this business. Everything is important.
So what are the best and the worst parts of an actor's life?
The up and downs.
Yeah.
But then again, I think part of the reason we're in this business is because we like the chase. We're like addicted to the up and down. You know, the exhilaration of getting the part, being invited to the party, as Joe Edna would say. That was great when she said that. And she's described it in this beautiful way. And then the downs, but the down you can't have heaven without hell. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can't have a part without not getting a part. And those that master the art of not getting the part will last and do well in this business.
You have to have a thick skin, I imagine.
Thick. I guess you could call it that. You just have to be. You can't give up. You got to be passionate about it.
I mean, rejection is part of the.
But it's really not rejection.
Okay.
In a definite sense. Now, you do not call. They only call you when it's yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Your agent calls you. You got an audition. Your agent calls you got a call back. Your agent calls you. You got the part. Mm-hmm. They don't call you to tell you, oh, well, you didn't get an audition today. Okay. Sorry, I submitted you, but you did not get an audition. You didn't get the part. Hi, just wanted to ruin your day and let you know that you did not get the part. So when an actor calls their agent, and, well, did I get it? They're setting themselves up for failure. Uh-huh. So the art is to master. Your job is to do the audition and impress a casting director. That's it. Okay, if you get the part, great, but your job is to audition. Audition, forget about it. Now, that's easier said than done in a lot of ways, especially when you get bigger and bigger parts. Or if you're up this part and you already have this part, scheduling things and this and that. Or if you need the beard, you don't need the beard. Or if you leave in town. So there's other reasons. But for the most part, you just got to do the audition, forget about it, and wait for the next audition. So there's the beauty there. The positive way of looking at it, making lemonade out of lemons, is they only call when it's positive.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
That's a great approach.
Yeah. Now, if you can master the art of that, you're set.
Yeah. And you had also mentioned having a great support system, and that's really important as well.
Friends, other actors, non-actors, doesn't matter. The people you spend the most time with, like my girlfriend Michelle. I love you, Michelle. She is so good. It's been so great for my career. She makes me a better person. And she's not afraid to tell me things I don't want to hear, in all aspects, not just the auditioning, but the socializing at parties with your other coworkers, and just making you a better person. And your friends do that too. And those are so important, especially in the sad times when you're not booking parts. Right. You're good. Don't worry about it. You're going to book a part again. And you need that. You need the people there to celebrate with, and you need the people there, especially when you're not doing so well and you're not booking anything.
I've talked with a number of creative people that always, not always, but often have this kind of, they're always questioning themselves. Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right business? Am I really a painter? And it's in their DNA. It's in their blood. And those are the things they have to do. But it's always this up and down of successes and not failures, but questioning, I think.
Yeah, self-doubt.
Yeah.
And you're going to have that. There's no way around it. You just have to figure out the way around it. You know what I mean? It's basically that's the cocoon, the metamorphosis. As an actor, or in any profession really, but especially as an actor, you are going to be a cocoon many times, and you're going to flourish into a butterfly many times, but then back into a cocoon and a butterfly. It's the up and downs.
Right.
But you just got to stick with it and keep going. Now, there are some people that I've tried in the low times to go get a day job. I've applied everywhere. Best Buy, Walmart, 7-Eleven, the jewelry store, the car place. Nobody wants me. You know, at different times, they I walk in there with a picture and a resume with all these TV and film credits, and they look at me like, what?
Right.
You know, well, do you have any? I'm like, no. But I've tried it in certain, especially when you move to a new market. Okay, what do I do? I need money,
Right.
But it's just, I've been lucky like that where the day job doesn't want me, if you will.
Right.
Acting keeps me, pulling me in.
Yeah, and I think there's so many people out there like that. Maybe they are doing the waiter job, or they're doing stocking shelves, but they are actors, actresses at heart, and that's what drives them. That's what they're waiting for. That's what they're looking for. Let's talk about some of the roles you've done, and I'm always curious about actors because I don't know, personally, I don't get actors. I don't get acting.
And yet you interview them. I guess you're trying to figure. You're probing right now.
Right. I think if I were to try acting, and I keep saying this, there'd be a possibility of getting into a role that I like so much better than my own life that I'd be lost into that role. Does that ever happen to you? Is there ever a character that you say, oh, I wish I was this guy?
You know what? It comes down to this. You're cast as you. You're cast at the most confident, best you. Whether you like it or not, you think, oh, that'd be a great role to do. But you know what? If it's not you, it's not you. That's the great thing about the parts you do get. Like right now, Seth MacFarlane just cast me in A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Right.
This script is, thank you very much. This script is the funniest pages I've ever read in my entire life. Wow. If you saw Ted and you thought that was funny, you have no idea. Okay. I mean, it is so funny. In the part, I can't really go into it.
Yeah.
I can just say it's funny, but the part is totally me. I went in there and I owned it, and it was just me. You know what I'm saying? But I started growing the beard in January to audition for all the different parts.
Right. And
then I auditioned for The Homesman, and Elizabeth Gable was casting that. And she called me in, and then she got feedback from Tommy Lee Jones already, and I did my audition, and she's like, well, for other Westerns, if you get a call back with Tommy or whatnot, you got to talk slower for the Westerns. So even every audition is a learning experience. You pick up little things. So I started growing the beard because all the Westerns that we're shooting here this year.
Right.
In January.
Call one out, start growing your beards now. Right?
Yeah. So I went I don't hold back. I went for it, and I auditioned for that, didn't get it. I auditioned for Jane Got a Gun, didn't get it. I auditioned, had a call back with the director. They were laughing to Jeremy Ryder for The Sixth Gun. Didn't get that. But in the back of my head, it was all about Seth MacFarlane's film because I kept growing a mustache and not trimming it. And the part was just perfect. I went in there and I owned it, and boom, I got it. And I got to hang out with him after I booked it and meet him and Wellesley and Alec and associate producer Eric and Jason, the producer. Just fabulous guys. Such a great chemistry between all of them. I'm so proud and so happy to be part of that.
Well, congratulations. I wish we had another 20 minutes to talk, but we gotta wrap things up. Jackamoe, really appreciate it, and thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Dirk. Anytime.
You've been listening to New Mexico Film Works on KBSF 101.5, the voice of Santa Fe. We'll be back next week.